Hello, everyone. I am so sorry. I am starting today without music. I had to change some things on my computer and I forgot to re add the music. So I do apologize. I do apologize. I do not have music, but welcome. Welcome to my show. Welcome, Tullian. You are the first one here. We are going to talk about siblings, the next chapter. When both parents are gone, how do siblings move on? Do they drift apart? Do they become closer? Do you think about who's next and who will be the last survivor? So, that is what I would like to talk about today. And we're going to wait till everyone else, well, I'm not going to wait, but everyone else will kind of drift in here. So, you know, when your parents pass away, you have the one parent that passes and then you have the other one that passes. Um, and your siblings, you guys are the only ones left. Does the dynamic of your relationship change? Like if you were close before, are you closer? If you were not close before, do you become close? Do you, hello, Crucible Man, welcome. Do you not, do you drift apart? What happens to that sibling dynamic? And you have some people who, for whatever reason, maybe they weren't speaking, to their siblings, and they don't see each other again until the funeral services, or maybe after the parents are gone, then there's property to be split. People have issues there. And then there are some people who may, for whatever reason, they don't come together at all. So what is that dynamic that happens when both parents are gone? um or even if that one, if if you come from a single family home or something, and that one parent, whoever that one parent was, what, be it the mother or the father, what is the dynamic? um that's something that I've been thinking about, and I've actually been thinking about it for the last 3 years. My father passed in 2018, and I lost my mother. She passed away last month. But in 2018, when my father passed away, I do have an older sister, and that is, hello, Juju, welcome. And that is something that I thought about. I thought about when my mother's gone, and it's just my sister and I. As morbid as it may seem, I did think, you know, um, who's going to outlive the other? Am I going to outlive my sister? Is she going to outlive me? She's 2.5 years older than me. Not that that makes a difference, because God can take you at any time. But those are some things that I thought about. And over the last 3 years, I would say that my sister and I have gotten closer. But I would like to know from other people who possibly have lost their parents, and it's just the siblings who are left. What is the dynamic of your relationship with your siblings? Has it gotten stronger? Has it gotten weaker? So on that note, I am going to open up the mic and invite anyone who wants to speak. If not, I will just keep going. So, Tulian, I sent a invite to you, and Crucible Melon, I sent an invite to you, and Juju, I know you're at the pool. So, does anyone want to come on and talk? If not, I will just keep on going. Okay, Juju's laughing. All right, so let's see. Anybody want to come on? Crucible Man, do you want to say something or no? And Crucible Man, I think you are on.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, this is a topic that really kind of hits home for me. I don't want to delve too much into my personal life, but my both of my parents are deceased, and I've got four siblings, myself included. That makes five, and they've both been gone now for about 9 years. My mother passed first, and then my father several years later. And we've always been a pretty close family. My mother would make a point in a sort of macabre kind of way that made us all uncomfortable at the time, but we understood where she was coming from. Excuse me. And it would be to the tune of, when I'm not going to be here forever, and when I'm not here anymore, I want you all to remain close. I want you to be your friend. I want you to be friends with each other. I would be very hurt if I were to come to realize that once we were both gone, you guys drifted apart, or you turned on each other, or there was a lack of loyalty or something. So obviously, with a family that large, you're going to get along differently with each person. You're not going to have the exact same relationship. That's impossible. Um, so I have been thinking, I'm in my 60s now, and I have been spending probably more time than I wish I were about the very subject that you just brought up, Solid Blue. What is the dynamic like? Who is going to go first? There's going to be, for somebody, there's going to be four funerals for your siblings. Um, and I live in fear that that person is going to be me. And it's a very unnerving when you think about the idea that you might be the only person left in your family without anybody else around. You may not, if I've got a brother who I have a very good relationship with, we don't speak hardly ever at all. So if it were to be a case where he and I were left, that would be unfortunate, because, like I said, we don't not get along, but we do not have anything resembling a close relationship. It's been years since I've spoken to him, but he would do anything for me, and I would do anything for him. But in terms of a meaningful, tangible relationship, it's just not there. So, but my mother did make a point of trying to delicately make the case for, you're all you've got. I'm not always going to be the one to hold everything together and be the binder, if you will. You've got to be, you're not going to be on your own at some point. And we kind of took that to heart. I mean, you didn't really get too wrapped up in it because your mother's still there and you don't want to get too far ahead down the line when she's not there. But it was something that made us all start to think that we better tend to these bonds. We better take care of each other, because there's going to come a point much sooner than anybody thinks where you're going to be all you have. So if I were you, I would take great pains to protect that relationship with your sister, and make a point of making sure that she understands that it's just the two of you, and you've got to have each other's back. And any petty disagreements, things that may have been major issues 20 years ago, are nothing anymore, because you start to realize the mortality of everybody on this planet, and the eventuality that they're going to be gone, too, as well.
Okay, Crucible Man, you make some good points. First, I want to say welcome to Rafik James and GP Man 45. As always, welcome back, and welcome JD. Like I said, in the last 3 years, since my father passed away, my sister and I, in my opinion, we have become closer. And you do realize that you are the only ones left. Now, I asked this. Crucible Man said that he lives in fear, or not, maybe not lives in fear. I'm sorry, I'm trying to remember everything that you were saying. That you would be the only one. Does it matter if you have extended family? Does it matter if you have extended family that you're close with? You may not necessarily be close with your immediate family, your siblings, but does it matter if you have that extended family to get you through the rough times? Or do you think that there's a distinct difference of having um, um, your immediate family who you want to have a relationship with, as opposed to cousins, aunts, uncles, whatever? Anybody want to jump in? Anybody?
Take that one.
Crucible Man, I'm going to throw it back to you. And before I keep going, I just want to say, Crucible Man, he participates a lot in the show. And for people who have not come on the show before, I do believe, Rafiq James, you are new to the show, and Tulian. I don't want you guys to think that this is just a conversation between me and Crucible Man. Then there are going to be some other ones that they drift in late, and we all tend to talk. But I welcome anybody can have the mic as long as we stay respectful. Please know that you guys can have the mic. I don't want you guys to think that this is just a one way conversation or two way whatever. So on that note, and having said that, Crucible Man, what did you want to say?
I think extended family relationships are extremely important, and I've got probably, I guess it's 9. I lost track. 9 nieces and nephews. They're all really good people. Obviously, I'm biased because I'm their uncle, but they are really good people. I would say otherwise if that were not true, but they are very, very solid people, very caring people. But they're like you said, they're extended family. They didn't grow up with me. We didn't share common experiences. We don't have the same parents, obviously. So I think extended family is extremely important, and I'm trying to better cultivate, I should say, relationships with my nieces and nephews. Like I said, fortunately, they've always been really solid. They're good people. We all get along really well, but they're not my siblings. So in the event that that's all that's left, 10 years, 20 years from now, my siblings are gone, certainly I will cherish, those relationships because they are still family. But there's something about that sibling bond where you shared experiences, even if you're, obviously you're different ages, but you came up in the same household with the same parents, experiencing similar, if not exactly the same types of things. And there's just no substitute for that. And as we get older, hopefully people begin to appreciate that even more. And whatever ill will or bad blood or whatever you want to call it may exist between you and one of your siblings today. I'm not in the family advice business, and I'm not going to try to be, but I would go to whatever lengths I needed to go to mend those fences, to patch things up, and to let that other family members know, how important the bond is, because it goes by fast. Anybody who's over the age of 50 knows what I'm talking about. It goes by fast, and the days come that you never really expected would come. And it's important, I think, for me personally, to do some of that groundwork now, because you can't just wave a magic wand 10 years from now and create relationships that weren't years in the making.
Okay, well said. However, I don't want to, dwell on, mending fences, and what have you. I also want to talk about, if you have positive relationships with your siblings. But first, I want to read some comments here. GB Man 45 says there's a big difference between stepbrothers and full brothers. And Rafiq James says, thank you so much. I talk French and I'm learning English, so I come to listen more of English and want to know more about life in the USA. That is why I'm just listening. Happy to join and member of your great family. No problem, Rafiq. No problem. Welcome. Okay, so I also want to talk about strong relationships that if you and your siblings were really close and you have strong relationships. I've met some people where they have told me, over the years that, that they get along great with their siblings. We don't have any issues. We don't have any problems. And I have to say, I don't believe that's true, because no relationship is perfect, be it with your parents, be it with your siblings, be it with your spouse, your friends, whatever. No relationship is perfect. Welcome, Jill. How are you, my sister? Okay. So, what if you have a relationship, your relationship with your siblings is a good one? Do you think it's possible for that relationship to fracture somewhat after both parents are gone? um and I'm not even talking about people who, inherit, property or money, whatever. I'm just talking about the emotional relationship. Do you think it's possible that you're in a good relationship, not perfect, you are in a, a fairly good relationship with your siblings or sibling, whatever, and it can start to fracture once a parent passes away or both parents are gone and it's just you? Do you think that's possible? Does anyone want to answer that one? Anybody? Crucible man, I'm going back to you.
Yeah, it's always possible. I've had a mini minor rift with one of my sisters. We're on good terms now. We always pretty much have been, but we are both kind of strong headed, and we have butted heads on some things in the past where. This was after my mother had passed away, but my father was still alive. And I think we started to kind of realize, we never really sat down and talked about it, but I think we kind of realized, let's not be foolish here. Let's try to honor our mother's wishes that we, continue to be close and continue to stay friends and whatnot. But I think I might have mentioned it earlier. That is when, if there's going to be a fissure or a severance of some kind, it would be after both of the parents are gone, because the parents are the buffer. And even when siblings don't get along while the parents are alive, there's always that common bond. We could always go to mom. We could always go to dad. We don't have to rely just on our own relationship skills. So yeah, that's a tricky one. Depending on how many siblings are involved, I've seen many examples where once the parents are gone, the bonds get a little bit weaker. The incentive to impress the parents and to do it for the sake of, mom and dad, we all get along so well. There's nobody to impress anymore once your parents are gone. So you left to your own devices, you become who you really were all along. You're not trying to impress your mother or trying to please your parents anymore because they're not here. So you're doing this based on whatever your personality has become and whatever your siblings' personalities have become. And sometimes without that cover of a parent being alive, people tend to revert back to, what they might have been doing all along, and it could get a little rocky. So yes, absolutely, I've seen it happen many times.
All right. Well, you bring up a good point when you say that, your parents are the buffer. But I mean, what if your parents were not the buffer when you were growing up? What if it was one of your siblings? What if your siblings, was the buffer in your family? Um, all parents are not perfect. So what if it was that sibling who took care of everyone, and made sure that everything, went well, that I'm just using this as an example. That you got to school on time, or that you had um, uh, something to eat, so you didn't go hungry. Make sure you did your homework, or just on an emotional level. What if it was one of your siblings that was the buffer and not your parents? So again, I throw in there, do you think that that would cause you to either become closer, or do you think that it would cause, you and your siblings to drift further apart? So, what do you think? Anybody? Anyone? No, no offense, Crucible Man, but I'm inviting other people besides you. I am so sorry, but if you guys want to chat or something, I'm just, trying to and Crucible says, man says, please do. And Frankie, I want to give a shout out to you. Thank you so much for your gift. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So does anyone else want to join in? I understand, that people are just listening. Juju, I know you're at your pool, whatever. But and Santa Gar Garay, is that how you pronounce your name? So I want to say uh welcome to you, and Let's see who else. So does anyone? So anyone else? Anyone want to take that question? Anyone want to take that question? And Tulian, thank you for liking the show. Crucible Man, I'm back to you because I know you have something to say, but I know you want other people to join in too. So, what do you want to say?
Yeah, I'm happy to talk if nobody else is going to do that. Yeah, there's depending on the size of your family. I know you're from a smaller family, but there's definitely a pecking order. Whether the parents were strong role models or whether they left it to the oldest child, whether it was a boy or a girl, to kind of take care of the others when the parents were working. You're the big sister. Now make sure you get, your brothers and sisters off to school, make sure they have breakfast, that kind of a thing. So yeah, I mean, my older sister was never really that person because my mother did it all. She was a stay-at-home mother. And
Okay, Crucible Man, can I stop? Can I stop you for a moment?
sure.
Let's take it to another level where it's not where the family dynamics are a little different. Where let's say mom and dad, they were irresponsible. Let's say, mom and dad, had issues, they weren't always around. Um, um, they were, when I say not always around, like, you come home from school and mom and dad may not have, been home for like 2 or 3 days, and it's left up to the siblings to take care of you. So do you have an opinion there where the family dynamic with the siblings may get stronger or fracture if parents were just irresponsible?
Yes. I don't have that experience, but yeah, I think the more children are asked to do at young ages, I think that just strengthens the bonds. It increases their responsibility level. I think they develop a sense of, we're kind of in this together. They may not come out and say it, but they kind of realize maybe they can't count on their parents the way they thought they could. And they kind of look to each other as, we're all we've got, and we've got to make this work. So yeah, I think in examples like you just gave, where the parents are not quite as responsible as they should be, kids are pretty smart at a pretty young age, I think, and they can pick up on what's going on with their parents, and they kind of get a sense of this is right or this doesn't feel right. And so the oldest one usually is the one that kind of steps into the role of, kind of taking care of the rest of them. But yeah, I would think that would be a prime opportunity for siblings to get very strong bonds between them when they have this common thing between them that is called their parents. And they kind of know that things aren't going the way they need to. And they just kind of subconsciously pick up on the fact that, they're going to need to be the ones that are going to be the adults because their parents are just maybe not into it.
All right, so I'm going to throw this out here to you. Welcome, Madcap Bedlam, and I'm just going to say PBGA6. Welcome. I'm going to throw this out there. Then you said that would be a way for siblings to get stronger. Now, what? Now let's talk about losing parents when you're young. When I say young, I'm saying uh, when you're young, I'm going to think of an age where you're old enough to know what's going on. 9, 10, when you and up into your teen years, and losing your parents when you're adults. If you're dealing with irresponsible parents, and you're saying that, and Crucible Man, you're saying that it would make siblings become stronger. Do you think that it is also possible that when that parent passes away, or both parents are gone, that the siblings who always had to bear the brunt of the responsibility, maybe they lost a little bit of their childhood or something like that, that they would resent the younger siblings, that they would resent the fact that everything was on them. And now it's like, both parents are gone. I just need to be away from you guys for a while. I mean, anybody have any comments on that? Crucible Man, you're welcome to jump in. Anyone else, if you want to jump in, please do. Crucible Man, you want to jump in?
Yeah, I think when it becomes clear to the children, and as I don't mean to repeat myself, kids they're pretty sharp, and they kind of get a sense of what's a normal household and what maybe isn't a normal household. They go to their friends' houses, and you kind of get a sense early on of what is what's appropriate and what maybe isn't appropriate. But losing parents when you're young, fortunately, didn't happen to me. But I had a handful of friends who lost one of their parents in our high school years, and I couldn't really relate. We never really talked about it. Probably not mature enough to do that. But anytime parents go early in a child's life, it can throw the whole growing up experience into chaos, because particularly if it's your mother who passes away when you're at a young age, because it's your mother and she's the person who's the glue to the whole household usually. And when she's not there, I can imagine how the pressure must go to the oldest sibling or a couple of the older siblings as, okay, now I've got to be the mother here. And I can imagine their resentment building up, and envy. And, like you said, part of my childhood was stolen or was taken from me because I had to do these other things. But yeah, I can certainly see resentment building between siblings, particularly the one where the responsibility fell to, and you're kind of looking like, nobody ever trained me for this. Nobody ever, prepared me for this. I don't want to be doing this. Yeah, I can imagine that you grow up real fast in those circumstances.
All right. All right. Frankie says I'm at work and I still want to talk. I would love for you to talk too, but I'm happy that you are listening, my friend. So thank you. Um, you know, um, so having said that, is there a difference? And again, I'm still talking about the dynamics between siblings. Is there a difference with, or your thoughts between you and your siblings becoming closer when you're an adult? Or are you closer when if you lose your parents in your teens? So I did not lose my parents, when I was a teenager. I lost my parents, both of my parents are gone. I'm 59 years old. So, I'm older. But do you think that there's a difference between how you would move forward with your siblings if you lost your parents when you're younger or when you are older? Do you think that that would change the family dynamic between siblings? Does anybody want to take that one? I'm always going to say this, and then I know I'm have to go to Crucible Man, but I'm always going to ask if anybody else wants to join in. So, anybody? Okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to send out some invites, and if you guys want to join in, you're more than welcome. If not, I totally understand. So, all right, but it's up to you. All right, so Crucible Man, I'm gonna come back to you.
Yeah, I had all I could handle growing up in a normal, pretty normal household with two responsible parents and a pretty good family dynamic. And, I still had all I could do, to make sure I stayed on the straight and narrow, and then, got through school and, played sports and do all those things. So to try to navigate life at such a young age without both of your parents is something I can't even get my head around. And I feel bad for people who have to do that, because there is so much that your parents, particularly your mother, I think, that they supply that you aren't even aware that you're not getting. We only know what our parents have done for us in retrospect after many decades have gone by. But if your parents, your mother or your father, somebody passes away when you're 10 or you're 12, obviously you didn't get those memories. You don't have those decades. So you're not even sure what you're missing because you've never experienced it, because your mother's not there, your father's not there to provide it. So I can only imagine, how kids can be angry or resentful, feeling like, even to the point where, mom, how could you do this, or dad, how could you do this, when all they did was, pass away. Kids are very impressionable at a very young age. Without, ideally, there's at least one other parent there to make sense of the death of one of the parents, and you don't have two parents gone at a young age, but somebody has to make sense of life at very early age. And like I said, I was fortunate to grow up in a pretty solid household, and I still had my hands full growing up, because it's tough growing up. And I don't know that kids can be blamed for feeling resentful or um, aggressive, or whatever the word is, because they feel like they've been screwed. All my friends have their parents. They have this normal family. They do all these normal family things. And then here we are, my father's gone or my mother's gone or something. And you can grow up feeling really, really different from the rest of your friends. And whether that makes you closer with your siblings or whether that makes you all angrier, I guess it depends on the family.
Okay, you've made, again, you've made some really good points. You know, growing up, I never knew, you know, in my circle, when I say my circle, I'm talking about people who I grew up with on my block, people that I went to elementary school with, what have you. I did not know anyone who grew up in a single family household. I didn't even have, people, any of my friends whose parents, passed away. A lot of my friends, as we got older in college and what have you, you find out that that a parent of one of your friends passed away. So it wasn't anything that I really grew up talking about. But over the years, as we get older and your parents pass away, I have had conversations with some of my friends, just in terms of, you know, it's just us left. It's just the three of us. It's just the two of us. However many you have in your family, and some of them do question, what is life going to be like if I'm the only one left? So having said that, do you nurture your, not only your relationships with your siblings, but does that also force you to, and I am going to use the word force, does it force you to nurture relationships with your friends? Because there is that possibility that if you are the only one left, that maybe you may not lean on your extended family, but you lean on your friends. So what does anyone think about that? I mean, what is your relationship, with friends? And I'm happy to say that I have several friends, good ones that I can mainly count on one hand, because who I know that I can lean on. So in terms of that, does your relationship with your friend circle, does that change if you find that both of your parents are gone and just you and your siblings are left? Do you um, go to your friends? So I hope I just made some sense there. So anybody want to take that? Let's see. Men are not very good at maintaining friendships later in life. I disagree with that. I think that there are. I mean, I do believe that women tend to have more friends than men, just because of how we are. We like to socialize and what have you. But I think that there are men out there who okay, you say crucible man. You're saying they go through the motions. Are you saying going through the motions? Um, Women are going through the motions, or men are going through the motions? Who's going through the motions there? Men. I don't think so. I think that there are men, who have very good and strong relationships. I think it depends upon who your friend circle is. If you have, some people are in frats, and they have very good relationships. Some people, have good relationships either from work or they've just maintained their childhood or high school, college relationships. I know men who have very strong relationships. So and you say I don't know any of them. So okay, now the conversations are going a little different now. So if you say I don't know any of them, who's I don't want to say whose problem is that or whose fault would that be? Who you know maintaining relationships take work, and it does take two to tango. So um are you putting yourself out there and they're just not responding, or what? Now I know like I said, we totally taken this conversation into another way, but Crucible Man, I like for you to come back on and because I do believe that your friendships that you have later in life are going to help you um navigate when both of your parents are gone. So, Crucible Man.
Yeah, I just, talking anecdotally, I don't have a lot of close friends. I've been trying to be much more diligent about that as my later years come on, and trying to reach out and trying to schedule, get together for a drink or for lunch or something like that. And when I said that they go through the motions, they make these grand gestures about, yeah, I talked to so and so and so and so, and he wants to get together. They want to get together. This week doesn't work, and next week doesn't work. But next thing you know, now you're 2 or 3 weeks out. No one's going to remember it. No one's going to follow up. And it isn't just myself. I've got brothers-in-law. I've got other people that are kind of in my age group, and the women always seem to be the ones with multiple friendships, strong friendships. They don't just pay lip service to it. They actually get together and have lunch. They take the time to schedule something. They send out the email, however they communicate. And I know almost every single man that I know, except for one of my brothers-in-law, who's got a very very strong, healthy friendship network. Almost every single one of my other friends or my brother, they've got very, very tenuous relationships. They've got people that they've known for decades that they haven't seen or spoken to in years. They don't seem to have any interest in that. And these are all people who are married, so I don't think that's a coincidence. Their network becomes their family. It becomes their wife, their children, their grandchildren. And then I have multiple examples that I can give of people in that exact category. And the friendship part of it for somebody like me, speaking selfishly, not married, no kids, no grandkids, those aren't options available to me. So I am more reliant on a friendship network. I'm more reliant on my friends beyond my siblings for that very reason. But like I said in the chat box, it takes two to tango. I'm not going to chase people all over hell, begging them to spend time with me. It speaks for itself. They've known me for decades. If they don't know by now whether they want to get together and have a cup of coffee or a beer or something, well, I'm not sure I can really change that much. There's only so much one person can do without the other side, holding up their end. And, I don't like to turn it into a men versus women thing, but that's been my experience throughout my whole life. Men are very good at friendships early on in their lives when it's easy, when you've got dozens and dozens of friends. The burden is not very high. The standards are not very high to be a good friend back when you're in your 20s, you're in your 30s. Your requirements are just different later on in life. You have different expectations from a friendship in your 50s and 60s than you might have when you were in your 20s and your 30s. But you can't, if you have any self-esteem at all, you have to know where the line is. In other words, how many calls do you make? How many texts do you send? How many times do you suggest, hey, why don't we all get together, or why don't I drive out to wherever you are you're living to make things easier on you, and we'll just hang out. And unless there's an absolute affirmative answer immediately, in my experience, it doesn't happen. Men get very set in their ways. They get very comfortable. And yes, I'm stereotyping now a little bit. and their quality of life is dependent on their immediate surroundings. If I don't have to leave the house, I'm not doing it. If I don't have to get dressed, I'm not doing it. If I can stay here tonight and watch another football game, that's what I'm going to do. And that's what makes it difficult for somebody in my situation. I can't just go, okay, I'll just go hang out with my wife, or I'll go over and drive over and visit my kids. That's not an option. So at some point, you need help from your friends. And in my experience, it's not something that I should be counting on later in life. I'm going to keep trying, but the
Okay.
early returns are not encouraging.
All right. You were very explicit with what you said. However, I disagree with you. But I can't disagree with you if that's your experience. But I do know that later in life, when if your siblings are not available to you for whatever reason, either physically or emotionally, you have that friend network, and yes, I do believe that women, we tend to be better at it. But again, I know men who, they go out and they have their little group of friends, and a lot of it is because they were able to maintain those relationships when they were younger, whatever. And I'm not saying that you have to chase someone down, because I would not chase anyone down. I understand that people are busy, they have families, and they have other lives and what have you. But if your siblings are not available to you, um or if you're not, going to your extended family, um, you know, those friendships are the ones that you have to, um, kind of maintain. Um, and if it means, I don't know how many times I have told people to join a club, get involved, whatever. If you're just sitting at home and, you know eh, people are not just going to start knocking on your door. You have to get involved. And sometimes your siblings, you guys, if you all are not don't have strong relationships, then you do tend to turn to your friends. So I don't know. I don't know if I think you're going about it wrong, whatever, but I do know men who, in their 60s and even their 70s, who have strong relationships with other men, and friendships. So, having said that, does anyone else want to join in before I circle back around to Crucible Man? Because I know that he's going to have something to say. And Crazy Lady and Shy Lady, welcome, welcome, welcome. So, I am going to send some more invites out. And, I just want to know, what do you think? We've been talking about siblings, and dealing with the dynamics of your relationships, after your parent passes away. And I threw in the thing about friends. At what point, if your siblings are not available to you, do you lean on friends? So Shy Lady, do you want to join in? Or Crazy Lady, you want to say something? And Shy Lady, if you want to join in, you are more than welcome. I'm sorry, Crazy Lady, what do you want to say?
Um, I see some siblings, like when both parents are gone, they like drift away. Um, it all depends on like what their relationship was when the parents were here too. I think has a big uh factor in it.
But do you think
I
the
think
relationship could get better or worse after both parents are gone?
again, it's a factor thing. I mean, I've seen, you know, like my husband's brothers. It's kind of like one brother got closer to the family, and another one seemed to like kind of drift away. You know.
And why do you think that is? Because there are some siblings who they were close before the parent or the parents passed away, and then they start to drift away after. So why do you think that is?
Uh, their own lives, I'm thinking, probably the biggest factor of it.
But would their
You know,
lives have
not
changed so much before the parent died? Like, how did their life change? I mean, would it have
uh
changed that
just move
drastically?
out of state,
Okay.
moving out of state and stuff. Yeah, I
Oh,
would think that would be a big factor in it.
all right. All right. So, Crazy Lady, let me ask you: do you have a strong friendship network outside of? I'm not talking about immediate family. I'm talking about: do you have a strong friendship network, even if it's only one friend that you hang out with or you
Yeah,
talk to, whatever? Okay.
yeah, I do. I have a pretty solid friendship structure.
Okay. All right. All right. Okay. And Crucible Man says, funny how as we age, our mortality. Hey, I'm sorry, my pups are in the room. Funny how as we age, our mortality looms larger and we make different decisions. Yes, this is true. This is true. Shy Lady, did you want to come on and say anything? Bless you. Shy Lady?
Can you hear me? Okay, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah,
Yes,
okay,
I
thank
can
you.
hear you.
Okay, I think it depends. I know for like my husband, um, both his parents have passed away, and he's one of six kids. So I think for the most part, the relationships are pretty much the same as they were when the mother was alive. She was definitely the glue that kept them together. The father passed on just a couple of years after the mom passed away. She's been gone for almost 30 years. So I think that it all depends on the relationship they had before because the siblings that were closer when the mother was alive, they're still close. And then the ones that they were never that close with, they're still kind of distanced. They keep up with each other every now and then. And then, like I said, the ones who were closer, they still maintain a pretty strong bond. But in some cases, I know that when a mother passes away, like recently, um, my daughter my daughter has a friend whose mother just passed away a month ago from COVID, and there's four girls. Now, since the mom has passed, they're kind of like going their own separate ways, and I think she was the glue that kept them together. The dad is still in the picture, but he wasn't really the one that the girls were close to. It was the mom. So I think it depends on the relationships that they had prior to those that particular parent or parents passing away. I think that has a lot to do with it as well. What kind of relationship they had before.
Do you think that adult children are able to handle it easier than younger children? When I say younger children, I'm going to say like teens, if you're in high school or something.
I think so. I think adult children are able to handle it better because when my husband's mother passed away, the youngest child, I think she was 19. She had just graduated from high school. I think it was harder for her than the older kids. She was the youngest of the six kids, and it was harder for I think her than the older ones. I definitely think it was harder for her.
Okay. All right. All right. So, in terms of, do you think there's a difference when parents pass away if your siblings are not emotionally available to you, that you would turn to your extended family, like cousins or nieces or nephews or something like that?
Definitely, I think so. Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. And would you say that you have a strong friendship network that you would also be able to turn to if your siblings were not available to you?
Um, Not really. I have a couple of good friends, but I wouldn't say I probably would talk more if I didn't have any siblings at all. I probably would talk more to friends if I was like the only one left out of my siblings. There, everyone was gone. I probably would because everyone needs someone to talk to.
Okay. All right. And that's what I meant. If you were the only one left, can I ask how many siblings you have?
I have three. I have an older sister who's like a year and a half older than me. Then I have two younger brothers. One is 5 years younger than the one after that. He's 9 years younger.
Okay. Oh, sorry, guys. I didn't mean to do that. Hold on. Hold on. I'm sorry. That wasn't supposed to happen. All right. All right. So going back to thinking about who will be next and who will be the last survivor. Um, I think about, like I said, I've been thinking about that since 2018 when my father passed away, and then last month when my mother passed. You know, it may seem morbid, whatever, but I do wonder, who's going to outlive the others? Is it going to be me, or is it going to be my sister? So, do any of you guys, think that way, or have you thought about it? I know Crucible Man said you did. So I'm going to ask Crazy Lady and Shy Lady because you guys came in later. Do you guys think about that? If you who will be the last one? And would it bother you if you were the last one? Me, I would love to live to be 150. So, so I don't know if anybody will be around that I know, but do any of you all think that way? Crazy Lady, let's see. Juju says, because I live far from my siblings, I only saw them when one of us passed, and the conversation was who's next. Okay. My little half brother will outlive me. You know what? I want to bring something up again because was it GP Man? Let me go back through the okay, here. GP Man 45 says that there's a big difference between stepbrothers and full brothers. So I want to ask you, in terms of siblings and survivors and surviving, surviving your parents, do you think there's a difference between your bond with your half siblings as opposed to your full siblings? Does anyone want to take that one? And if there is a difference, why? Anybody? Crazy Lady, would you like to take that one?
I would have to say depends on like if your step siblings were like raised in the household with you, you know, rather than a step sibling that, just like kind of visited, you know,
All
but like
right.
was in
Well, let
custody of the
me.
other parent.
All right. Well, let me throw this out there then to you, Crazy Lady. What if that half sibling was raised in the household with you, and
Hmm.
your full sibling, either they were older, whatever, they moved out, whatever, but it was your half sibling that was mainly in the household with you, and then that parent passed away, and then both parents are gone. Do you think that you would still become closer with that half sibling, or do you think that you would find your way to become close with that full sibling?
Um, I don't know. I would probably maintain the same relationship. If you know, like I don't have a relationship with my older half brothers at all. Um, but I do have kind of a relationship with my younger half brother. But we weren't raised in the same household. I was already moved out when Scott was born. So
Okay, and that's your brother that's 17 years younger than you.
yeah.
Okay, all right. Now, Juju says, I was born into the change of life family. I never grew up with my older four brothers and sisters. Okay. All right. So, Juju, when both of your parents passed away, did you gravitate to either one of your brothers or sister or to both of them? Or how did that work? Never. Okay. Was that by choice or because you just didn't grow up in the household, you just kind of didn't know each other? Okay, I know she's probably typing. And Shy Lady, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, I want to say that I know as far as like the half siblings and the full siblings, I know in my husband's case, The first three of them have the same dad. The other three have different dads. And my husband is was never close to his older brother, who was his full brother, but he's closer to a half brother. But I think when you have the same mom, it's a little bit different when you're all raised in the same household
Mm-hmm.
with the same mom. It's a little bit different. He's closer to a younger brother, a half brother, because they have more things in common. Even though they all grew up in the same household, they all had the same mom. The dad wasn't around, so they all were pretty close anyway, as far as a family, because it was just them and their mom for the most part. But I just think it depends on the personality, because like I said, my husband is actually closer in age to his full brother than he is to his half sibling, who's about 8, 9 years younger. But the full brother, they were always competitive when they were kids, and they still are to this day. So they were never close.
All right. So, Shy Lady, I'm going to ask you. So, with your siblings, do you ever think about who's going to outlive who?
Oh, absolutely, I do. I do wonder that a lot. We don't talk about it, but it's always in the back of my mind who's going to go first. I know my husband lost his youngest sister. She's the youngest in the whole family. He lost her in June, and she was the youngest of the six. And so it was kind of a really big blow to them. It was a really big blow that she was the first to go, even though she was the youngest. But
All
she
right.
had health problems.
So would you want to be the first, the second, the last? Because you said there's three. There's three of you.
I want to be the last. Like you, I would love to be over 100.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would like to. I would like to live as long as possible, and and even when you get older, even if your family's gone, or even if your extended family's gone, cousins, aunts, uncles, whatever. I still think that it's possible to make friends. Some of your friends that may be gone, but I still think it's always possible to make friends. And Shy Lady, you and I, we've known each other for over 30 years, so maybe the two of us will be 110 years old, sitting on a sitting on a porch with our rocking chairs. I don't know, but I don't know. When you have when you have that when you're in this situation where both of your parents are gone, and I'm just coming back to around to what I was saying at the beginning of the show. You do start to think about your mortality, and you think about the relationship that you have with your siblings, or sibling, whatever. And you would hope that whatever relationship you have, that it does get stronger. Some people, they may not be able to get there, or have that. But I hope that if you are not able to have strong relationships with your siblings, that you have a friendship network that you're able to turn to, even if it's only just that one friend, whatever. You have at least that one person. So Crucible Man says life as an old person can be extremely difficult if it's just you alone. I believe that is true, and that's why I say that you have to get involved. There is just so many things to do, so many things out there to do, so many organizations out there to join, so many things that are out there where you don't have to be alone. So having said that, before we wrap it up, does anyone want to have the thank you for everyone for liking the show? Does anyone want to have a last word, a last comment? I'm just going to go down the line. Crucible Man, do you want to say something before we wrap it up?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this has been one of the more interesting topics that you've had on your show. I've listened to most of them over the past couple of months, so I think I'm qualified to speak. And when I saw the topic a little earlier today, I really had a kind of I'm not going to say a flood of emotions, but these are things that I think about on a fairly regular basis, just because of my lifestyle, being single and whatnot. You're forced to confront these things on an almost daily basis because you are responsible for your happiness. I don't have kids or a wife or grandkids that kind of naturally or organically supply those kinds of things. So the ball's in your court. So I'm constantly faced with these kinds of thoughts and these kinds of issues because it's just me. And if I don't think about them myself, then no one's going to think about them for me. So I think the family dynamic, I think the wrestling with or thinking about, even though nobody wants to say it out loud, who's going to be the next sibling to go, who's going to be the last one standing, kind of thing. These are all very emotional and difficult things to deal with, but they're not going away. And I just think it's interesting when you finally sit down to confront these things. They're not simple, they're not straightforward. There's a lot of moving parts on them. But I think if you're fortunate enough to have siblings at an older age in life, you're lucky. You're lucky, and you should do everything you can to maintain them, because I think when parents are gone, kids wind up with this, it's just us. We got to stick together, kind of a thing. And hopefully that's what happens with me and my siblings, because like I said in the chat box, my goal is to try to maintain the friendships that I have right now. If I can generate some new ones, then that's great. But I'm being realistic. But it takes two to tango. But it will not be for lack of effort. That's for sure.
Well, all right, that's another show. So I'm not going to go there. So, all right, crazy lady, do you have something you want to say? Some final words. You have the mic.
Um, I kind of agree with people, that family is important, because when your parents are gone, that's all you got left, that remembers, back, hey, remember back when, and yeah, family is very important,
All right.
like all those old stupid grudges.
All right. Oh, I got a golden mic from Frankie. Thank you. Thank you, girl. Thank you. Wow. That's a big one. You must really like this show. Shy lady, do you want to have a parting comment?
No, not much. A lot of things were covered, and I agree with a lot of the stuff that Crucible Man said. And it's one of those things that you do, especially with the parents. Next year I'll be entering a new decade, as you know, of age, and so my father passed away in April this year at 83. So it is something that I think about: who's going to be next out of the siblings. Just wondering now that our parents are aging. So, that's it on me.
Okay. All right. So, having said that, everyone, thank you so much for joining me. And I have to apologize. I do not have parting music, even though you guys heard it, but I don't have parting music set up. I did some things to my computer, and I did not add music. So I can hum, but you all don't want to hear me hum or sing. So on that note, everyone, I will see you tomorrow, and I appreciate again you guys coming and participating. The show again does not work without you. I appreciate your likes and just the fact that you guys even bother to show up. So thank you. On that note, I say speak your truth. I am Solid Blue Sister. This is my turn to talk, and I will hopefully see you tomorrow. Bye.